Hey, welcome or welcome back. This is the ongoing series of performing at your best. It is designed for athletes, individual and team athletes, performing artists, whether it's dancers or musicians, business people or coaches or parents, about how to master the mental sides of your performance area. Over the past 20 episodes right now, we have been covering a lot of the 101 level ones, which are the basic ones, looked at as the sequence. And now in the 200 series, we're looking at specific issues. If you are new to this, I recommend you going through at your leisure the 14100 level series of understanding the principles and perspectives about human performance. If you're just popping on to this particular issue, you can pop around to any of the 200 level series to gain specific ideas and applications to specific performance problems. Depending on the setup of your computer, when you go to the screen in YouTube that lists all of mine, make sure you have the date facing up, so it goes from the earliest ones recorded onward. Nothing's more confusing than going later on and trying to figure out what we have covered. In this level of the 200 level, number 207 in the series, we're going to talk about how to understand and cope with and eventually conquer adversity. This sounds real strange. We need adversity in the long run to temper us like a piece of steel in a knife, to become more hardened, more sharp, as well as more resilient. In the short run, adversity almost seems like everything's crashing in on us. It would be wonderful if every one of our performances would go very smoothly and fold the way we had practiced, having our A game or having a peak experience. That just doesn't occur. But how to handle adversity, whether it's frustrations or disappointments, failures, or losses, if viewed properly, can set us up for the future. Let me tell you a little story. I was the sports psychologist and mental coach for our local community college baseball and softball teams for about 7 years. And these are just fine athletes who were appreciative of having the opportunity of playing baseball or sophomore for 2 additional years. Here at Western Nevada College, where I teach, we had always in the community college what's called JUCO, a series of community college games around the West. Western Nevada College was always ranked in the top 10 nationally from year to year. And one year, it was just remarkable the streak they were on during the spring season. They went 23-2. And it was just a wonderful thing to see, of all of them meshing together. Every game, there would be a new hero who would step up on it. They loved each other. They backed each other up. And we just dominated at home or on the road that whole parts of the season. Interestingly, when we got to the playoffs for the divisional playoffs against our arch rival, the fine Salt Lake City Community College program, who we had beaten handily over the season, we lost the 2 playoff games, 2-0 and 3-1, which they went on to the national JUCO finals. And we were all devastated, and took me a while to figure this out and to communicate it with the coaches and the players, is that almost we were too good for too long, that sometimes we didn't know and how to learn how to grow from adversity. Instead of being 23-2, it would have been nicer if we had lost some games and learned how to come back. In that respect, we need adversity to keep on figuring out how we should respond to things, how to dig deep within ourselves. So hopefully they could have peaked during the playoff seasons. Part of this is knowing your individual personal reactions to adversity. Even if you're a part of an ensemble or a team or an acting troupe, understand your own performances in the midst of adversity. Sometimes some of us fold under pressure. Sometimes we become frustrated or irritated or short-tempered with folks. Understand your own mental and emotional responses to adversity. That's the first step in understanding what to do. There are some rare people, to use the boxing phrase, in the midst of adversity, they need to get bloodied, get punched, get whopped a couple times to spur them on. You may be one of these people. In any case, understand that how we respond to adversity is not only helpful for that performance, it's helpful for our long-term development as well. This is the Chinese ideogram, anagram, the symbol for the concept of crisis. The ancient Chinese approached crisis situations in terms of these definitions. The top one means danger. The bottom one means hidden opportunity. So the classical Chinese looked at something that was ever-changing, quickly changing, and an adverse situation as something that is dangerous. It shakes up the familiar. It shakes up the status quo. But in that shaking up, it might present some hidden opportunities, some doorways, if you will, that might not have been open if everything was going really well. So the Chinese approach crisis situations, adverse, quickly changing situations, as something that's dangerous, but provides some hidden opportunities. That's the test of your character. In the midst of a crisis, in the midst of adversity, can you have this ability to have the poise and the perspective to step back and say, what kind of hidden opportunities are there for me? Look at your own individual lives. I'm sure the quality of the person all around that you are now is a result, to some degree, of the crises you've been through during your life. Hopefully you are better, certainly different, but hopefully you are better for all the crises you went through during your life. Okay. In that respect, you can understand what I'm saying, that we need adversity in the long run. In the midst of particular crises or adversity, I've come up with a variety of principles as well as practices about that. And let me share some of these with you. As we learned from COVID, things change and then they change again. Change is maybe essential for growth. Sometimes we cannot control change, but we can learn how to interact with change. If we're so bound in terms of expecting something to unfold in a precise way, we're always going to be frustrated and discouraged. This is particularly the time to remain doggedly positive in your thoughts, your attitude, and your feelings. It's easy to be positive and supportive when everything are going nice and smoothly. The test of your character is, can you become doggedly positive during the tough times? During adverse situations, we need to focus in on what we can control right here and right now. The adversity may be unexpected or unfair. Given that, emphasize what you can control right here and right now. I'm a great believer in hope. Hope is a good thing. Hope is an essential thing, and hopefully you can learn how to cope with adversity. There's always different ways. Your character, your class, your integrity, your ongoing personality matters. That's where it shows out in adverse situations, not only with the big things, the big decisions, but with the little things as well. Your character indeed is your destiny. One of the things we learned from COVID was this notion about resilience, is that we thought of resilience is bouncing back to where you were before the crisis. What we learned is that it's not so much a matter of bouncing back like a ball bounces back to its original shape. It's more bouncing forward. We'll never be the same as we were before the adversity, before the crisis. So we're never going to bounce back to that same one. Part of that is learning. Let's see how I'm going to grow and learn from this. I'm indeed bouncing forward. The Irish have a marvelous phrase. They say, I persist to persevere. First time I heard that, I couldn't process it. I thought those two were synonymous. There's a great deal of overlap, but there's also differences. Persist is gutting it out, hanging in there, and persevering is succeeding, surviving, coping, and conquering. Sometimes we have to persist in order to persevere, just hanging in there. Here are some more specific things. In adverse situations, if you're in a slump, if you've had unfair things fostered on you, appreciate the little things about yourself, about your performances. These are the times to be appreciative and even grateful for what you have achieved and who you've become so far. That is our base. That's our foundation. Being appreciative and grateful for who we are and how far we've come. As we'll learn in the next video, learn how to concentrate more deeply and in a more sustained way. As you do, you will become hardened and mentally tough so that you can have the adversity, the unfairnesses just bounce off of you. Learn how to concentrate. So go to the next video as well. Whenever you feel or fretting about something that you cannot do anything more, excuse me, replace it with 3 or 4 things that you can do right now. This sounds strange, but a good cry can do wonders. Let it loose, express yourself. Even for macho males, it's okay to cry. It is a great release and a great perspective giver. One of the things maybe to learn how to do before the adversity as a part of your ongoing mental training is learn how to meditate. It's just about a matter of being in the present, being in the here and now without judgment. Sometimes people may take it in another direction of learning how to pray and praying before performances or even during performances. It soothes the soul and puts things in perspectives. Here's something really strange. Laugh. I mean, laugh with a big belly laugh. Laughing not at yourself in a derisive way, but laughing at the absurdity of the situation, maybe the unfairness of it, but laugh. Laugh out loud, laugh to yourself. Here's something that sounds really strange, and it works wonders. In the midst of adversity, go out of your way for somebody else today, whether it is a classmate, a teammate, a person part of your acting troupe. Go out and help them. That giving of your time and energy and yourself is a way not only to empathize what they're doing, but learning how to share and show compassion for others. That compassion will turn around and enrich yourselves. Remember on all of these situations that you have proven in the past to be good, to be competent, to be effective, to be a joyful performer. You can also have proven to yourself that you can be adaptive, that you can be courageous, persistent, and yes, even resilient. Remind yourself of what you've already done. Then you can repeat that over and over again for each new adverse situation. In an early video training of this 200 level series, I talked to you about self-talk, how to be aware of our negative self-talk, how to challenge it, and how to replace it with good, positive affirmations. I'm going to read you some adversity affirmations. Write down the ones that may fit for you, or some of those may stimulate some other affirmations in your mind. Here are some good adversity affirmations to remind yourself during the dark days, during the frustrating days. And that is easy does it. It is what it is. I will do what I can control right here and right now. I am strong and resilient. Every day, I am one step closer to coming out of the slump, to overcoming those slumps, to accepting myself. Every day, I am one step closer. I respect myself. I honor my classmates or my teammates' paths, even if they're different than mine. As such, I take care of me and mine. I am kind to others and kind to myself, especially in the midst of adversity. I'm grateful for what I now have. Coping and enduring are victories in themselves. I am open for surprises, and I'm eager to respond to surprises. Opportunities always abound, those hidden opportunities. I adjust, I adapt, and I persevere. I am like bamboo that is flexible yet strong. I smile, I shrug, and I laugh. I am open to my new normal, whatever that may be. And I give gladly and graciously. Sometimes in the midst of adversity, we will fail. Sometimes we will become discouraged. It's okay to fail. Can you recover from that? The worst thing you can do in the midst of adversity is to give up or to mail in the rest of your performance. You've given up on the performance. You're also giving up on yourselves. And giving up is like a cancer. Once you give up, it's easier to give up again and again and again. I have learned much more from my failures than I have from my successes. In fact, learning from my failures sets me up to future successes. Sometimes we have to learn how to handle pressure. That takes time. That takes repetitive times in those situations. Sometimes I have to learn how to win, to create your own formula. Sometimes I have to learn how to perform during my best with my B game or my C game. That's all learning. And those learnings are based on recovering from failures, recovering from disappointments. In college, I was a soccer player, and I was a fullback, a defense person. And I had my coach, John Kinney, who's just a wonderful man, would say, Tom, you get beaten by a player, but you always recover well. I still remember that to this day, 50 years after John Kinney said that. It's okay to fail. It's okay to get beaten. It's okay to be frustrated. It's how well you recover that sets the stage for your improvement. Hopefully, you're starting to understand a little bit more what I'm saying, that adversity is good. Learn how to respond to it. It will make you sharper, stronger, yet more flexible. Find out for yourselves.